My name is Ava and I am 35 years old. I have a husband who I have been married with for 10 years. His name is Andrew. He is the same age as me and is a salesman at an automobile manufacturer. In our hometown, he works for a company that is so famous that it is considered an elite course, similar to becoming a doctor or lawyer. I, on the other hand, was a high school dropout. I met him at a nightclub. Since my father ran away with a woman at night when I was in elementary school, I grew up in a single mother household. My mother raised me while working day and night in the cleaning business. However, she became ill when I was in my sophomore year of high school due to the pain my father had caused her over the years. Not only was she no longer able to work day or night, but she had to pay for my medical bills. I decided to give up school and work at a hamburger joint. It didn't pay that well, but by working full-time morning to night, I managed to pay my utility bills and just barely make ends meet. Best of all, the manager didn't tell me and let me eat the hamburger in secret, so at least my portion of the food expenses floated away. I dropped out of high school to work at the restaurant, and some of my classmates would stop by after school to chat, and while they would see me working and whisper behind my back, "She's miserable, isn't she?" Or "You must be super cool at home," I pretended not to hear them and put up with it. As soon as I turned 18, I stepped into the world of the night entertainment business. Hostess Club. I wanted to earn money anyway, and my mother's condition was worsening. Fortunately, I was blessed with good looks, as I take after my father, who is good enough looking to run away with a young woman at night. At the store, they said I was young and beautiful, and I quickly became number one. So for 5 years, when I was carrying the number one cabaret sign and shining brightest in my life, I met him. At first, Andrew was desperate to woo me.
He said, "I will definitely make you happy. I will make you the happiest woman in the prefecture."
He was so enthusiastic that it was a bit too much to say. There were many others who tried to woo me, but they were either physically attracted to me or were married, and they all saw me only as a side piece. I didn't start out on this path because I wanted to be a part of the glamorous world. I was just trying to earn money for my mother's medical treatment and living expenses. That is why I was happy that he, who worked for a top manufacturer, proposed to me. He was so sincere at the time that it seemed to me at the time that he would not betray me like my father did even if we got married. I left the Hostess Club and married him. We did not have any farewell party or any sort, and one day, I suddenly quit as if I disappeared. I had no intention of continuing my relationship with my former customers, and if I was going to get married, I was going to wash my hands of the business for good. I transferred all the money I earned as a cabaret girl to my mother, and once I became a full-time housewife. But he was still young and working in sales. He did not come home very often. When he did come home, it was often after midnight. I had graduated from that world, but he still seemed to come and go of frequent cabaret clubs for business entertainment. But I can't blame him because I know what nightclubs are all about. It is natural for a man to go to cabarets for socializing. And since I am a former cabaret girl myself, I can't ask him not to go to such places. Before we got married, we were excited about having children, but there is no longer any sign of that. Maybe he just wanted to get me, who was the number one cabaret girl, and he was the type of guy who wouldn't feed the fish he caught. I realized that being a full-time housewife was not very rewarding. So I decided to go to work. The job I chose was as a caregiver. In fact, since then, my mother's condition had worsened. I wanted to take care of her, so I studied to become a caregiver. It seems that once a person becomes ill, he or she becomes more and more backward unless there is someone there to take care of them. She sometimes said, "I have nothing to live for," and it seemed to be true. However, I was unable to support my mother's heart because I believed that as long as she had money, she would be able to get by. Anyway, I thought that if I earned an undeserved amount of money and transferred it to her, the hospital would do something about it and she would get well. So I supported my mother financially and cared for her from time to time. But in the end, I left her alone. When I turned 30, my mother was only 60 years old when she passed away. It was too late for me to regret that I should have spent more time with her. I cried many times alone, regretting my inability to do more. But tears did not bring my mother back. Instead of working, I should have spent more time with her. It wasn't about money. After losing my mother and realizing this, I became more involved in the nursing profession. I thought that working hard at this job would be my way of redeeming myself for my mother. Kindness works better than any medicine for people who are getting old, lonely, depressed, or sick. It is most important to make them realize that you are loved and needed in this world, and a little laughter every day. These things are the secret to good health. As a caregiver, I worked hard for my mother who passed away. Then I started working night shifts because my husband was not coming home anyway. Working was definitely easier than sitting at home moping. My husband never complained about me working at night either. He thought he could free himself up for that. My husband and I were beginning to have some differences in our lives. However, it was not enough to get a divorce. I did the bare minimum of housework and got involved in my work. Thus, our relationship became not so friendly, even though we were still registered as a couple. A cold atmosphere began to flow between us. And then something even more disturbing entered the picture. It was my SIL. She works for the same company as my husband and is a career track employee, and is also classified as a super elite in her hometown. From the very beginning, she ridiculed me as a cabaret woman. At the time of our marriage, he was so absorbed in me that she did not object. But in truth, she did not approve of me. More than anything else, I was still young at the time and was being treated well, so I guess he couldn't complain outright. But now, I am 35 years old and it has been 10 years since I started working at a cabaret club. My SIL is 37. The age difference between two women over 30 is nothing. My SIL, who is not so good looking, is finally on the same level with me now that we are both older. She is now a caregiver, not a #1 cabaret girl, and she seems to think she has moved up a notch by being a full-time employee of a prestigious company. And she has come to look down on me with pride. My SIL is close with my brother because they work at the same place. She started coming to visit me while I was gone. When I return home after a long day at work, she even sits in the living room drinking alcohol and watching TV with me. As I have no siblings, I don't know what that feels like, so I didn't say anything. However, my SIL began to speak to me with obvious disdain.
Ava, are you working again? You're all sweaty and your hair is sticking to your face.
Oh, it was my day for assisting with bathing.
Well, that's a tough job, isn't it?
And for some reason, she looked at me from above. Caregiving is hard work, to be sure, but I consider it a clean and irreplaceable job. It is a low-paying job, and it is not a particularly elite job, but I was proud of it. So,
I heard you work day and night. How much do they pay you for that?
I couldn't understand why she was feign smiling. I wanted to say, I have an experience that my mother could not be saved even if she had money, so it is not that kind of problem. I had no choice but to reply, "It's about $10, to which my SIL replied, laughing with all her might, "What? 100,000 yen while working the night shift? That's all. That's just pennies." Totally rogue. My husband, who was listening to this, said, "It can't be helped, sister. She comes from a pool-educated family. She's not like us elites." "What are you even saying?" I counted.
He said, "Shut up. I'm going to say this now, but marrying you was a mistake. I thought you looked cute at the time."
She said, "That was a night at club, wasn't it? You were drunk, weren't you?"
I was really out of my mind. I really messed up. If I got married, there would be better women than her.
Yes, you should have at least married one of my colleagues.
Women aren't what they look like after all. When they get older, they're all old women.
And since you're tired of living, you're not attractive as a woman, right? That's why I was against it.
And I'm going to say a lot of things about it, but I held out then. 2 against 1, there is no way to win. Besides, I was wondering inwardly, is it okay to say whatever I want like that? However, after that day, my SIL began to take it more and more seriously. Seeing that I remained silent no matter what she said, she decided that it was okay to say more. After that, she came to visit me once in a while, bringing me wine or something, and then she would get drunk and say,
She said, "Hey, if you can't make that much money as a caregiver, why don't you go back to working at night?" "Oh, that's impossible with your looks."
There are cabarets for MILF women now.
Well, I didn't know there was such a thing. I hate it when a woman's only skill is to work in the cabaret club business.
We can't get a decent job. Well, we're total winners, so we'll be fine. We're not like her.
He doesn't take my side at all and shits on me. I wondered what this has-been was all about. I couldn't help but wonder, but I think I understand somehow. He must have found a young, pretty girl at a cabaret club and is in love with her. I guess he is too old to love me, even though I am his wife. I am starting to lose patience with these siblings who are still making fun of me and even undermining my job. So I declared, "Well, I'm quitting my job. Since you seem to be making fun of my nursing care work, then I'll quit my job and all my nursing care work as of today. So I'm going to work at a MILF cabaret club. I may look like this, but I am a woman who graduated from junior high school, grew up in a PUA family environment, and went through various hardships in my night work. If you're going to make fun of me like that, I'll show you what I'm talking about." I thought to myself,
"Oh, yes. Why don't you do whatever you want? It has nothing to do with me."
I guess so. Why don't you at least earn some money? What's the point of being married to you at all now?
he said so. I was really pissed off, so I decided to do what I really wanted to do. I quit my current job and quit sending money to my pill and taking care of them. My husband and Sil were so busy with their jobs that they didn't realize it, but my Phil had quit his job as a cab driver because he had a back injury. So I was only putting $10 out of the $23 I was earning from my nursing job into the house and sending the rest to my pill. I lied when I said I was earning $10.
Ava, please don't tell Andrew about this. He is a proud man, and if I tell him that I hurt my back, he will blame me.
Is that so? But how can he blame you when his own father is in physical pain?
Yes, it's our fault. We raised them to study and to enter prestigious companies. Anyway, we don't allow them to drop out of society, even a little.
That's so right. We made a mistake in the way we brought up our brothers. We made a mistake in bringing up our siblings.
He lamented. I understand. Then I will keep it a secret. I had promised my in-laws. I had lost my own mother and treated my pill as if they were my real parents. So, during the daytime and in my free time at night, I helped my Mill who was having a hard time taking care of my Phil who had a back injury. But that will stop now. I'm sorry, but I have no choice. I can't just go on like this if I'm being treated so foolishly. I really did quit my job as a caregiver and went back to working at night. I went back, and the legendary cabaret of 10 years ago was revived and became popular, and old customers naturally returned. Some said, "You've become an old lady," while others said, "You look just as beautiful as you did back then." You only have to listen to the conversation at night over drinks half-heartedly or less. I quickly regained my old instincts and began to be active in the nightlife again. That's when my husband began to get impatient.
I thought you were joking, but you're serious. He said,
Yes, I am. I am always serious.
quit it, please. It's not cool for a wife to be in the cabaret business.
I don't listen to you. I won't listen to you. I decided not to listen to him anymore. A month later, my SIL came crying to me, noticing that I had stopped sending money to my in-laws and stopped going to care for them at all. My Phil told her the whole truth. It was 1800 hours in the evening when I was about to put on my makeup and go to work. My SIL came barging into the house with a pale face.
Ava, my father told me everything. We are too busy with work to take care of my father. Please, I take back my previous statement and ask you to take care of him again.
I don't want to. I have to go to work now, so please excuse me.
Oh, come on, please. I'm sorry. I think I was out of line.
If you think I am out of line, please take care of your parents instead of apologizing to me. Also, your father can't work, so please make sure you send him money.
You do it.
Why me? In fact, I had already decided to divorce Andrew when I returned to the nightlife. He's going to mock me for the rest of my life for being only a woman of the night. Then I'll go back to that world. I said to her, "You're sorry, but my feelings will never return." I left him with that. Later, I went to my in-laws to tell them what had happened. Then he said, "I'll miss you, but I can't help it. My son should regret getting such a good wife and getting on with it." But he regretted it and did not hold back. Then I promised my in-laws that I would visit them occasionally, and we decided to start working on the divorce in earnest. I asked a lawyer who was one of my clients to take charge of this divorce. I didn't have any evidence of her husband's cheating or any other wrongdoing, so I had to pay some alimony, but I gave it to gracefully. It's only about a $10. I remember my SIL saying, $10. That's just pennies. For me now, $10 is not a lot of money to get rid of those siblings. I said, "It's just pennies," and transferred the money on the same day and got divorced immediately. And now I am dating a man who has been thinking about me for a long time and who told me he was so shocked when he heard I got married that he couldn't get over it. He is single and a venture business owner. His education is also a high school dropout, but he has the strength and grace to have risen from the bottom. And as for her ex-husband, he quickly became a rumor in the nightlife world as an uncool guy who got dumped by his wife and even got away with alimony. In a region like this, what is rumored in the night world is equally rumored in the day world. It must be extremely painful for that man who is obsessed with pride and vanity.
What? He's the one who spoke out of turn, got divorced, and then demanded $10,000. He's such a miserable man. I'm glad you left him. He's such a miserable man. He's not going to get a promotion anyway.
Everyone laughed at him. These days, He seems to have completely stopped coming to any of the restaurants for a drink, and my SIL was blamed by her parents for my departure, saying, "You're the one who made her leave."
What the hell do you think you're doing? What on earth do you think you're doing? You don't even have a big job. You're still just a regular employee.
She was told to go find a man and attend a marriage activity party. However, my SIL, who is old, proud, and not at all cute, is not popular at all, and every week she gets rejected by everyone and sinks. She is constantly being rejected by people who would normally look down on her, and she is depressed because she is reminded of the reality of her situation as a woman. People who don't respect their parents and look down on other people's occupations will never be happy. At the very least, people do not follow people based on their titles. If you don't have human qualities, you will be unhappy someday. I am going to use this marriage and divorce as an expensive learning experience and move on to the next stage of my happiness.